My name is Mike Smith. I'm the chair of the National Oil Bargaining Program for the United Steelworkers, which represents about 30,000 oil workers in and around the United States, including chemical facilities, refineries, pipelines, and production fields. In 1965, the Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers Union, the OCAW, our predecessor union, created this program to maximize our leverage at the table by standardizing all of our contracts around dates and creating a national kind of approach while we were bargaining with these multinational companies. So over the years, or over the decades, we've been successful in securing many nationwide industry-wide victories. At this conference, we have delegates from all over the country. Over 200 bargaining units are represented from all companies, pipeline groups, and chemical facilities. The delegates are here to present from their company councils a list of proposals that they would like to see on the national policy. We have an elected National Policy Committee of rank and file members that will then accept those recommendations, and we will then go back and work through all of them and come up with the policy in which we will then bargain with Marathon Petroleum, who is the lead company. We will then bargain with them to come up with the national pattern. Those are consistently issues that are industry-wide, whether it's wages, term, benefits, successorship language, health and safety language, and stuff that impacts all of the industry. At the same time, while we're bargaining those national issues that do end up making it on the policy, those locals will be at their tables bargaining council issues, so company-wide issues, as well as their local issues in the plant. It's the expectation that when the program was created, the industry has agreed that the expectation is that the lead company will bargain, and then they have their own communication process, and that when we do get a deal, the expectation is that all of the sites that are in the program will put that pattern on the table as a minimum pattern. The national pattern and the national letters of agreement that come out of national oil bargaining are the same across the board throughout all companies at all sites. What you do is the items that don't end up on the national policy that we address nationally with Marathon end up at either a council bargaining level or a local bargaining level. So there are areas in the CBAs or collective bargaining agreements that differ, but they're more site related, whether it's how their operations are set up, or maybe they represent a different group of workers or different crafts. And so all of those are site specific. So the CBAs are there, but all of the letters of agreements that you've mentioned that are listed from 66 on are all letters of agreement that are across the board at all sites. We usually have an initial conversation, but when we are actually sitting down having that discussion, it's typically, we try to sit down 3 weeks prior to, because this is a more narrowed down policy when we're talking about, a lot of our groups begin local negotiations in December or possibly and go through January. So they're at the local tables a little longer. And we do 3 weeks with the attempt to come to an agreement on January 31st when our contracts expire. The term of the agreement is also part of the bargaining. So we anticipate this week hearing from our members how long they would like to see an agreement. We've been 2, 3, and 4 years recently, or more recently 3 and 4 years. In the 60s and 70s, there was a lot of more 2-year contracts and even some 1 years, I believe. So as we've progressed, 3 years are typical, but sometimes 4 years are necessary if there's certain things we're trying to achieve during that bargaining, which we allow for an extra year of security while we gain something else. Really, it's the roller coaster of the industry. I mean, we spent 4 years under the past administration, kind of with an investment into the future, I won't say I heard today diversifying the energy sector, but I think it's more add-on to the energy sector. And we saw those investments coming in, and we were fighting for a place at the table when those were talked about, so our members didn't get left behind in whatever those decisions made by the company. What we've seen recently kind of is a pullback from a lot of that. We've seen a lot of canceling of funding that was promised, and a lot of our companies were part of bigger projects to maybe a future energy, whether it's hydrogen, carbon capture. There's a lot of different options out there. So right now, it's kind of understanding where things are. Obviously, there's a lot of geopolitical issues in the world that are impacting oil. There's also tariffs, which are a heavy topic, and we rely the global market is kind of unknown. So we're seeing less investments into some facilities just because their future is unknown, and they're not sure if that return is going to come back. So just trying to gauge that. But at the end of the day, it's still the oil sector, or the oil majors and refiners across the board are still making money. We still at this point are going to need, there's still internal combustion engines powering the United States. There's still airplanes that need aviation fuel, and we are still working towards that. So while unstable, I think that adds challenges as we try to secure, good wages into the future, good benefits into the future, where some companies are still trying to figure out what their future is. As I've traveled around listening to workers over this term of this agreement, obviously wages are something, as inflation costs and cost of living has gone up. That's always going to be an issue. Our last contract was right after COVID, so we hadn't seen the acceleration and the record years that we saw from a lot of oil majors. And benefits are always high cost of benefits here in the United States. Obviously, the healthcare system is, it's tough. Benefits, healthcare just costs a lot of money. And while all of our members are on the company's healthcare plans, those rising costs have continued to eat away at a lot of the gains we've made financially. Last time we were successful in setting a minimum severance package, as we saw plants closing after COVID, during COVID, and coming out of COVID. So I think that's something to secure, to ensure that our members aren't the ones left paying the price for when companies make a decision to either shut down for whatever reason that is. So, I think continuing the goal of bettering the lives of our members that are currently working, retirement, benefits, and our job security as a whole. And while we try to fight for a seat at the table in whatever the companies turn into as far as an energy company. And all that being said, we are anticipating, when the policy committee will hear those proposals coming from the floor tomorrow, we'll see what else can pop up.